Marcus Holloway stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his 63rd floor office, watching storm clouds gather over Chicago. Below him, the city moves like clockwork. Millions of people whose lives he'll never touch, whose names he'll never know. His reflection stares back at him from the glass. 42 years old, CEO of Holloway Tech Industries, worth $3.7 billion according to the latest Forbes estimate. The numbers used to mean something. His phone buzzes, another acquisition closing, another quarter of record profits, another day of building an empire on foundations that cracked 8 years ago and never stopped cracking. Marcus doesn't look at the message. His eyes stay fixed on those clouds, dark and rolling, the kind that bring thunder you can feel in your chest. His daughter hates thunder, or she would if she could feel fear, if she could feel anything at all. The office behind him sits pristine. Minimalist furniture, awards lining one wall, photos of handshakes with presidents and tech giants. No family photos. Those stay locked in drawers now, buried under contracts and quarterly reports. Looking at them hurts too much. Seeing his wife Olivia's face, her smile, the way she used to look at him like he could solve anything. He couldn't solve the one thing that mattered. 8 years ago, Olivia went into labor 3 months early. Complications, they said. Medical terminology that translates to, your wife will die and your daughter will never be whole. Olivia hemorrhaged on the operating table. They saved the baby but couldn't save her mother. And Sophia, his little girl, came into this world with her brain starved of oxygen for 4 critical minutes. 4 minutes that stole everything. Cerebral palsy, severe. Global developmental delay, quadriplegia. The doctor's words pile up like stones, building a wall around any hope Marcus might have carried. She'll never walk, never talk, likely never develop past the cognitive ability of a 6-month-old. We're sorry, Mr. Holloway, but you need to understand. Your daughter will require total care for the rest of her life. Marcus heard them. He nodded. He signed papers and wrote checks and built Sophia the most advanced care facility money could design. Private nurses around the clock. The best medical equipment, therapy sessions with specialists from 3 continents. Everything a father could do when doing isn't enough, but he never learned how to just be with her. Section 2. The Fortress of Cameras, 450 words. The Holloway estate sits on 12 acres in Winnetka, guarded by walls most prisons would envy. Marcus built those walls after the 5th caregiver sold photos to a tabloid. Holloway heiress, a billion-dollar tragedy, the headline screamed, next to pictures of Sophia in her medical bed, tubes and monitors making her look more like a science experiment than a child. He paid $2 million to bury that story. Then he built the walls higher. Now 73 cameras watch every corner of the estate. Motion sensors track movement through hallways. Biometric locks seal off wings. The security room looks like something from a government facility. Banks of monitors showing every angle, every room, every moment. Marcus knows the system intimately. He designed it himself. Spent 6 months perfecting it. He told himself it was about protection, about preventing another betrayal. But late at night, when insomnia pins him to his office chair, he admits the truth he won't say out loud. The cameras let him love his daughter from a distance, let him watch without being present, let him care without feeling. 14 caregivers in 8 years. Marcus keeps a file on each one. Caregiver 1 quit after 3 weeks, said the job was too depressing. Caregiver 2 stole prescription medications. Police involved. Caregiver 3 lasted 5 months before having a breakdown, found crying in the bathroom, unable to continue. Caregiver 4 background check revealed a history of neglect charges, fired before she completed training. Caregiver 5, the one who sold the photos. Caregiver 6 through 9, Various failures, incompetence, dishonesty, inability to handle Sophia's complex needs. Caregiver 10 seemed perfect. 3 months in, Marcus discovered she was padding expenses, billing for equipment never purchased. When confronted, she claimed Sophia wouldn't know the difference anyway. Marcus fired her on the spot and installed 17 more cameras. Caregivers 11 through 13. Each stayed less than 2 months. The house's atmosphere broke them. The silence, the stillness, the weight of caring for a child who never responds, never improves, never shows any sign that their efforts matter. Caregiver 14 lasted a week before admitting she couldn't handle it. At least she was honest. Mrs. Chen, the head housekeeper, has watched it all. 63 years old, she's worked for Marcus since before Sophia was born. She remembers when the house had music in it, when Olivia's laughter echoed through these halls, when Marcus smiled like he meant it. Now she watches him review security footage at 3 in the morning, coffee cold beside him, searching for problems that justify his isolation. "You can't protect her from life by hiding from it yourself," Mrs. Chen told him once. Marcus never responded, just added more cameras. Section 3. The Woman Who Wouldn't Look Away. 500 words. Grace Morrison walks through the security checkpoint with her worn leather bag and second-hand coat, knowing she looks nothing like what a billionaire expects his daughter's caregiver to be. 31 years old, working-class Chicago accent. She's never tried to hide. No degrees from fancy universities. Just a certification in pediatric care, 3 years at Chicago Children's Hospital, and a reference letter from Mrs. Chen's niece that got her through the door. The interview happens in Marcus's study, all dark wood and leather, money visible in every corner. He sits behind a massive desk, scrolling through her file on a tablet, not looking up when she enters. "Your resume is thin," he says by way of greeting. "No private care experience. No work with severely disabled children. Why are you here?" Grace sits without being invited. "Because your housekeeper said you need someone who won't quit." Marcus's eyes snap up. 14 people didn't quit, Ms. Morrison. They failed. Failed how? "They couldn't handle the reality of my daughter's condition. They came in with hope and left with broken spirits. They tried to bond with a child who will never bond back. They expected progress that will never come." His voice stays flat, clinical, like he's reading from a medical chart. "Sophia will never improve. The sooner you accept that, the less painful this job becomes." Grace meets his stare. "You believe that?" "I believe what the doctors tell me." "And if they're wrong?" Something flickers across Marcus's face. Anger, maybe, or fear. "They're not wrong. Multiple specialists, 8 years of observation. This isn't a debate, Ms. Morrison. This is medical fact." "Okay." Grace leans back. "Then tell me about your daughter." Marcus blinks. "I just did." "No, you told me about her diagnosis. I asked about Sophia." Silence stretches. Marcus stares at her like she's spoken a foreign language. Finally, "What do you want to know?" "What does she like? What makes her comfortable? Does she prefer quiet or sound? Morning light or evening? When she's uncomfortable, how does she show it?" Grace watches him struggle. "You have 73 cameras watching her. Surely you know your daughter." Marcus's jaw tightens. The care instructions are comprehensive. Follow them exactly. No improvising, no experimental therapies, no hope speeches. He slides a thick binder across the desk. Medical protocols, emergency procedures, feeding schedules. Everything you need to know. Grace takes the binder but doesn't open it. "When do I meet her?" "Mrs. Chen will take you up. I have calls to make." Marcus turns back to his computer, dismissing her. Grace stands. At the door, she pauses. "Mr. Holloway, I've cared for a lot of children who couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't show love the way most people recognize it. But every single one of them was still there, still feeling, still hoping someone would see them. She waits, but he doesn't turn around. I plan on seeing Sophia. She leaves before he can respond. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Section 4. The Girl Behind the Diagnosis. 450 words. The medical suite takes up the entire third floor's east wing. Mrs. Chen leads Grace through double doors that require a code, down a hallway that smells like hospital disinfectant and something else. Loneliness, maybe, if loneliness had a scent. She's in here, Mrs. Chen says, quietly stopping at the last door. I should warn you, she doesn't respond. Not to voices, not to touch. The neurologists say she's aware, but she trails off. It's hard to tell. Grace nods. I'd like to go in alone, if that's okay. Mrs. Chen studies her. You're not what I expected when I called you. What did you expect? Someone harder. The soft ones don't last. But Mrs. Chen opens the door anyway. I'll be in the kitchen if you need me. The room surprises Grace. She expected clinical, more hospital than home. Instead, soft afternoon light filters through sheer curtains. The walls are painted pale lavender. A mobile hangs above the medical bed, fabric butterflies that turn slowly in the air conditioning's gentle current. Someone chose these things with care, probably years ago, probably a mother who isn't here anymore. And there, in the center of it all, lies Sophia. 8 years old, but small for her age. Her body curled on its side, supported by specialized pillows. Dark hair spread across crisp sheets. Medical equipment surrounds her, monitors tracking heart rate and oxygen. A feeding tube disappearing under the blankets. Devices Grace recognizes from her hospital days. Grace moves slowly, making her presence known. Hi, Sophia. My name is Grace. She pulls a chair close to the bed, sits at eye level. I'm going to be spending time with you. Is that okay? No response. Sophia's eyes stay closed. Her breathing shallow but steady. Her hands curl inward at her chest, fingers contracted in the way cerebral palsy shapes the body. I'm not going to lie to you, Grace continues, voice soft. I'm a little nervous. This is my first day, and I want to do right by you. She reaches out slowly, telegraphing the movement, and gently places her hand near Sophia's, not touching, just close. Your dad says you don't respond to people, but I think maybe you just haven't met someone who knows how to listen. Silence. Just the beep of monitors, the hum of machines. Grace settles into the chair. I'm going to tell you about myself. You don't have to do anything, just let me sit here with you. She takes a breath. I grew up on the South Side. My mom cleaned houses, my dad worked construction. I have 2 brothers who think they're funnier than they are. She talks for an hour about her family, her training, the children she cared for at the hospital. She talks like Sophia can hear every word, like her presence matters, because Grace believes it does. Section 5. The Watching Man. 500 words. Marcus stands in his office, tablet in hand, watching the medical suite camera. He told himself he'd review the first day for 10 minutes just to ensure Grace followed protocols. That was 3 hours ago. She's still in there, still sitting beside Sophia's bed, talking like she's having a conversation instead of a monologue. The tablet's audio picks up her voice, stories about her childhood, observations about the weather, gentle commentary about the butterflies on the mobile. Your mom picked those, didn't she? Grace says, looking up at the mobile. She had good taste. Butterflies are perfect. Did you know they can't see their own wings? They go their whole lives creating beauty they never get to appreciate. She pauses. I think a lot of us are like that. Marcus's chest tightens. At 4 o'clock, the day nurse, Melanie, who's been with them for 2 years, enters for the medication round. Grace stands immediately, watches closely as Melanie administers medications through the feeding tube, asks questions about dosages and timing. "You've done this before," Melanie comments. "Chicago Children's Neuro Ward," Grace replies. "Different equipment, same principles." "You left the hospital for private care." Grace helps adjust Sophia's position, her hands gentle but confident. "My mom got sick. Hospital shifts weren't flexible enough. She's better now, but..." She shrugs. "I needed something different. Mrs. Chen's niece mentioned this position." Melanie finishes the medication log. "Fair warning, this job is harder than the hospital. At least there you had other patients, other outcomes. Here, it's just..." She looks at Sophia. "This, every day, no change, no improvement. It wears on you." "Does she have physical therapy, music therapy, any sensory engagement?" "Used to. Mr. Holloway canceled most of it around year 3. The therapists kept trying new approaches, kept promising breakthroughs that never came. He got tired of paying for hope." Melanie closes her tablet. "Now it's just maintenance. Keep her comfortable, keep her stable. That's all he asks." Grace says nothing, but Marcus sees her jaw tighten. After Melanie leaves, Grace returns to her chair. She doesn't start talking again. Instead, she just sits there, present, her hand resting near Sophia's. Marcus zooms in on the image. Grace's face holds something he hasn't seen in this room for years. Peace, not pity, not sadness, just calm presence, like sitting with his daughter is exactly where she wants to be. It bothers him. He can't articulate why, but it does. At 6 o'clock, Mrs. Chen brings Grace dinner on a tray. "You can eat in the staff room." "Would it be okay if I stayed here?" Mrs. Chen glances at the camera, then back at Grace. "Mr. Holloway prefers caregivers not to get too attached." "I'm not attached," Grace says simply. "I'm just present. There's a difference." Marcus closes the tablet. His hands are shaking. He doesn't know why. Section 6. The First Night. 700 words. The storm arrives at 9:47 p.m. Marcus tracks it from his office. Radar showing a system rolling in from the lake. Severe weather warning scrolling across his phone. Thunder rumbles in the distance, deep enough to vibrate the windows. His first thought is, Sophia. Marcus pulls up the medical suite camera. The night nurse should be settling her for sleep, following the routine that hasn't changed in years. Lights dimmed by 8:30, white noise. Machine on, monitors adjusted for overnight settings. But Grace is still there. She sits in the chair beside Sophia's bed, now pushed closer. A small lamp casts warm light across her face as she reads from a paperback, voice low and steady. "The storm came up sudden," she reads, "the kind that makes the whole world hold its breath. Rain against the windows, thunder rolling like drums." She pauses as real thunder echoes outside, then smiles slightly. Convenient timing. Marcus watches Sophia's monitor. Heart rate slightly elevated. She senses the storm, even if she can't respond to it. The neurologists said her awareness fluctuates, that environmental changes might register somewhere in her brain, even if they don't produce visible reactions. Lightning flashes. The room lights up white for a split second. Thunder follows, close enough to rattle. Sophia's heart rate spikes. The monitor beeps a warning. Grace sets down the book immediately. "Hey, sweetie, you don't like that, do you?" She stands, moving to adjust Sophia's pillows, her touch careful. "Thunder can't hurt you. You're safe in here, I promise." Another flash. Thunder, closer this time. "Okay," Grace says softly. New plan. She dims the lamp further, then carefully, so carefully, climbs onto the bed beside Sophia. Not crowding her, just close enough to be felt. She begins humming, low and gentle, a melody Marcus doesn't recognize. Marcus's finger hovers over the intercom button. This isn't protocol. Caregivers aren't supposed to. But Sophia's heart rate is dropping, returning to normal ranges. The monitor stops beeping. Grace keeps humming, one hand resting lightly on Sophia's shoulder. "My mom used to sing this when storms scared me," she says between phrases. "Old hymn, his eye is on the sparrow. You don't have to believe in anything to find it comforting. It's just steady, like a heartbeat." The storm intensifies outside. Rain pounds against windows. Lightning illuminates the room in staccato bursts. But Sophia's vitals stay calm. Grace stays there for 40 minutes, humming and talking, her presence a shelter against the storm's chaos. Marcus watches every second, unable to look away, unable to explain the tightness in his chest. Finally, the storm begins to pass. Thunder grows distant. Grace slowly climbs down from the bed, adjusting Sophia's blankets, smoothing her hair. "There, see, all over. You were so brave." She picks up her book and returns to the chair. "Where were we?" She reads for another hour. Marcus watches, transfixed. At 11:15, the night nurse arrives for shift change. "Oh!" Nurse Sarah stops in the doorway. "I didn't realize you were still here. Just wanted to see her through the storm." Grace stands, stretching stiff muscles. She doesn't like thunder much. Sarah glances at the monitors. "Vitals look good." "She did great, really brave." Grace gathers her things, but she pauses at the bed, leans down close. "Good night, Sophia. I'll see you tomorrow morning, okay? Sweet dreams." She leaves without seeing Marcus watch her go. After Grace exits the suite, Marcus pulls up the playback. He rewinds to the moment she climbed into Sophia's bed, watches her settle beside his daughter like it's the most natural thing in the world, watches his daughter's heart rate steady under Grace's presence, watches a stranger comfort his child through a storm while he sat in his office, monitoring it all through a screen. Marcus closes the laptop. His office feels colder somehow. The storm outside begins to fade, but inside his chest, something else stirs, something uncomfortable that feels like shame mixed with longing and a dangerous thread of hope he can't afford to follow. He tells himself this doesn't change anything. Grace will fail like all the others. She'll realize Sophia isn't improving, will never improve, and she'll leave. They always leave. But as he finally stands to go to his empty bedroom, Marcus realizes he's already dreading the day that happens. 3 weeks pass like water through Marcus's fingers. 3 weeks of watching Grace break every rule he established, and 3 weeks of not stopping her. She brings things into Sophia's room, a small wind chime that catches the light, a textured blanket she bought with her own money, a music box that plays Brahms' Lullaby. None of it was approved. All of it changes the sterile medical suite into something that almost resembles a child's bedroom. Marcus watches through cameras as Grace develops routines the medical team never prescribed. Every morning she opens the curtains wide, narrating the weather. "Look, Sophia, the sun's trying to break through. I think it's going to be a beautiful day." Every afternoon she does what she calls sensory time, running different fabrics across Sophia's palms, playing various instruments near her ears, describing colors and textures like Sophia can absorb them through words alone. The medical staff notices changes first. "Her muscle tone is different," Melanie tells Marcus during a weekly update. "Less rigid in her hands. I've been charting it. It's small, but it's there." Marcus dismisses it. Fluctuations happen. The neurologist said, "I know what the neurologist said 8 years ago." Melanie interrupts gently. "But I'm telling you what I'm seeing now. Something's different." That night, Marcus doesn't just watch current footage. He goes back, day by day, studying Grace's methods. He sees her doing gentle range of motion exercises that look nothing like the official physical therapy. sees her positioning Sophia's hands on different objects, smooth stones, rough bark, soft silk, and waiting, patient, like she expects a response. Your body remembers things your mind might not, Grace tells Sophia during one session. We just have to remind it. No rush, sweet girl. We have all the time in the world. Marcus opens his laptop and searches neuroplasticity and severe cerebral palsy. The research floods his screen. Studies about brain adaptation, about how consistent sensory input can create new neural pathways, about children whose outcomes defied initial prognoses when given intensive, loving intervention. Why didn't he look for this 8 years ago? Why did he accept the first verdict and stop fighting? Marcus knows the answer. He stopped fighting because fighting required hope, and hope required staying present with his daughter. Staying present meant feeling everything he'd been running from since Olivia died. The grief, the guilt, the overwhelming love for a child he didn't know how to reach. Grace reached her in 3 weeks. The realization sits in his stomach like a stone. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The second storm arrives on a Tuesday night. Marcus is working late, or pretending to work, mostly watching the medical suite feed while spreadsheets blur on his other monitor. Weather alerts flash across his phone. Severe thunderstorm warning, heavy rain, frequent lightning, possible hail. On camera, he watches Grace prepare. She's stayed late again, something she does 3 or 4 nights a week now, never asking for overtime, never complaining. She dims the lights preemptively, moves her chair closer to Sophia's bed, settles in with a book. Another storm coming, she tells Sophia, but we handled the last one just fine, didn't we? We're storm experts now. The rain starts, soft at first, then building. Thunder rumbles, distant but approaching. Marcus watches Sophia's heart rate on the monitor display. It climbs slightly. Grace starts humming that same hymn, her hand resting near Sophia's shoulder. I've got you. You're safe. Lightning flashes, thunder cracks, loud enough that Marcus hears it in his office 3 floors away. The lights flicker. Sophia's heart rate spikes. The monitor alarm sounds. Grace moves immediately, repositioning herself on the bed beside Sophia, closer than before. Hey, it's okay, I'm right here. Her hand covers Sophia's contracted one, gentle but firm. You're not alone. You will never be alone, sweet girl, I promise. Another lightning strike, this one close enough to make the windows rattle, and then Marcus sees it. Sophia's hand moves, not a spasm, not an involuntary twitch. Her fingers, those contracted, tight fingers, slowly unfold. They turn, they reach, they grasp Grace's hand. Marcus shoots to his feet. His chair crashes backward. His hands shake as he grabs the tablet, zooms in on the image. Sophia's small fingers are wrapped around Grace's hand, holding on, deliberately, consciously. Oh my God, Grace breathes, her voice breaking. Sophia, baby. Are you… She doesn't move, doesn't pull away, just stares at their joined hands. Tears stream down her face. You're holding my hand. You're actually holding my hand. Thunder crashes again, but this time, Sophia's heart rate doesn't spike. She's holding on to Grace like an anchor, like safety, like love. Marcus can't breathe. His daughter who doctors said would never intentionally move, never respond, never connect, is holding someone's hand through a storm. The tablet slips from his fingers. His knees buckle. He catches himself against the desk, but barely. His whole body shakes. 8 years. 8 years of being told his daughter was unreachable. 8 years of accepting that verdict, of building walls and installing cameras, and loving her from a distance because being close hurt too much. And a woman making $15 an hour just proved every single doctor wrong. Marcus slides down to the floor, his back against the desk, and for the second time in 3 weeks, he weeps. Marcus doesn't sleep that night. He sits in his office until dawn, replaying the footage over and over, watching his daughter's fingers unfold, watching her reach, watching her hold on. At 6 a.m., he showers, dresses, and does something he hasn't done in 8 years. He goes to his daughter's room. Grace is asleep in the chair beside Sophia's bed, her head tilted at an uncomfortable angle, one hand still resting near Sophia's. She stayed all night. Of course she did. Marcus stands in the doorway, unsure how to enter a space he's observed 1,000 times but never truly occupied. The room smells different than he expected. Lavender and something clean, like fresh laundry. Sunlight streams through the curtains. Grace insists on opening. He takes a step inside, then another. Grace stirs, her eyes opening. She straightens immediately when she sees him, professional instinct kicking in. "Mr. Holloway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep. I saw," Marcus interrupts quietly. "Last night, the storm, I saw what happened." Grace's expression changes, uncertainty mixed with something defensive, like she's waiting for him to tell her she imagined it, to dismiss what they both witnessed. "I saw her hold your hand," Marcus continues, his voice cracks. "I saw my daughter reach for you." Grace nods slowly. She was scared. She needed someone to be there. Marcus moves closer, his eyes on Sophia's sleeping face. "And you were." Silence setches between them. Marcus kneels beside the bed, his movements awkward, unpracticed. This close, he can see details the cameras miss. The way Sophia's eyelashes rest against her cheeks, the small freckle near her ear, the way her chest rises and falls with each breath. "I've been watching through cameras for 8 years, he says quietly. "I told myself I was protecting her, but I was really just hiding from the pain, from the guilt, from—" His throat closes. "From the love," Grace finishes gently. "Because loving her this much, when you can't fix everything, is terrifying." Marcus nods, unable to speak. "Mr. Holloway," Grace says carefully, "I need to tell you something. Those doctors who gave the prognosis 8 years ago, they weren't necessarily wrong about what they saw then, but brains, especially young brains, they're more adaptable than we often give them credit for. Sophia's been trying to reach out for years. She just needed someone to believe she could." "You believed." "I did. I do." Grace looks at Sophia. "But she doesn't just need me, Mr. Holloway. She needs her father." The words land like a physical blow. Marcus's hands shake as he reaches toward his daughter, then stops, afraid. "I don't know how. I don't know what to—" "Start with being here." Grace stands slowly. "I'm going to get some coffee. Give you two some time." "Don't go," Marcus says quickly. Too quickly. "Please, I need you to show me." Grace studies him for a long moment, then nods. She returns to her chair, and together they sit in silence, watching Sophia sleep. After several minutes, Grace speaks softly. "Talk to her. Tell her you're here. She knows your voice. She hears everything, Mr. Holloway. She's been listening to your footsteps in the hallway for years, waiting for you to come in." Marcus's vision blurs. He leans closer to his daughter, his voice barely a whisper. "Sophia, baby, it's Daddy." The word feels foreign in his mouth, unused for so long. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I stayed away. I was scared, and that's not an excuse, but it's the truth." He watches her face for any sign she hears him. "Your mom would be so disappointed in me," he continues, tears falling freely now. "She would have fought for you every single day. She would never have given up, and I did. I gave up because I didn't know how to be brave enough." Thunder rumbles in the distance, the storm's last echo, and Sophia's eyes flutter open. Marcus freezes, His daughter is looking at him. Actually looking, her gaze focused in a way he's never seen before. "Hi, baby," he breathes. "I'm here. I'm finally here." Sophia's hand, that same hand that reached for Grace during the storm, moves slowly across the blanket, trembling, uncertain, but intentional. Marcus understands. He extends his own hand, places it beside hers, and waits. Sophia's small fingers brush his palm, then curl, then hold. Marcus breaks. He bows his head over their joined hands and sobs. Years of grief and guilt and love pouring out in waves. Grace quietly slips from the room, giving them privacy for this moment they both needed. When Marcus finally looks up, Sophia is still watching him, and in her eyes, those eyes he convinced himself saw nothing, he sees his daughter, present, aware, reaching back. "I love you," he whispers. "I have always loved you, and I'm never hiding again." Outside, the storm clears. Sunlight breaks through clouds. And in a room on the third floor of a fortress that kept the world out, a father and daughter find each other for the first time. Grace returns an hour later to find them still holding hands. Marcus looks up at her, his face transformed. "Thank you," he says, "for not giving up on her, for showing me what I couldn't see." Grace smiles. "She was always there, Mr. Holloway. You both were. You just needed a storm to find your way to each other." Marcus looks at his daughter, really sees her, and understands that miracles don't announce themselves. They arrive quietly in the hands of faithful people who refuse to stop believing. The cameras keep recording, but Marcus doesn't need them anymore. He's finally present. The end. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.